Our first myth today is one that a lot of people get confused about, and it's the question of whether or not there are actually additional verses to the Star-Spangled Banner. The song became the official national anthem of the United States back in 1931, though the lyrics dated back more than a century and the music goes all the way back to 1780. The story of the song having extra verses is not only true, but most people are completely blind to the fact that the version that most people sing is actually only the first verse. The poem used, which was written by Francis Scott Key, actually has 4 verses to it, and in 1861, a 5th verse was added by Oliver Wendell Holmes, which referred to the Civil War. But beyond this, there are alternative lyrics written by Francis Scott Key in about 1840, and there are small changes in the wording here, but the overall structure is pretty much the same. So yes, there are additional verses to the Star-Spangled Banner, a number of them in fact. Speaking of the Civil War, our second myth today speaks directly to that, and it's the claim that the melody known as taps actually came from a piece of sheet music found in the upper pocket of a dead body from a boy found on a Civil War battleground. This is one of the most common music myths from the past century because on a number of levels, it makes a lot of sense. For those who don't know it, it is most often played at military funerals. And as the story goes, one evening, a Union Army captain heard moans from a dying man on the battlefield, and when he finally found the man, it was actually a dead Confederate soldier. Some variations on the story say that it was a young boy, while some even say that it happened to somehow be the captain's son. But regardless of that detail, the story goes on to finish up that the next day when they buried the soldier, they played the music because they found the notes in his pocket. This is, of course, complete myth, every word of it. Taps was written during that time period, about 1862 or so, but it's generally attributed to General David Butterfield, as he was looking for a way to replace the gun salute that accompanied military funerals, as well as a more calming melody to end the day and signal lights out. So yes, while it does come from the Civil War era, there's no heartwarming father-son story behind it at all. Today's final myth actually came to me via request a long time ago, but I've been purposefully saving it for this episode. The question claimed that Lee Greenwood, who sang the song God Bless the USA, kind of better known as Proud to Be an American, actually fled to Canada during the Vietnam War to dodge the draft. During the US skirmish in the Persian Gulf during the early 1990s, it was almost impossible to get away from this song. And even in modern times, it remains an absolute staple of countless war retrospectives and memorials and remembrances of that sort. However, the rumor of his draft dodging started very quickly after this song became a radio hit, as honestly, everything about it made sense with the timing. Born in 1942, Greenwood was obviously in his mid to late 20s when the draft was instated. And at that time, men between 18 and 26 were eligible to be drafted into the Vietnam War. That is until 1969 when the draft lottery was put into place. This kept Lee Greenwood eligible to be drafted for nearly all of 1969 as he was 26 going on 27, and the fact is he never served in the US military. However, his whereabouts during this time are very well documented, and the main reason he didn't get drafted is because at the time he already had a wife and children, and he was given a 3A classification in the draft lottery, and the draft never reached that number, so he was never called up. So while it is true that Lee Greenwood never served in the US military, he didn't dodge the draft either. He was just never called to service. So those are the myths for this week. Be sure to check back here every Thursday as I delve into some of the coolest stories in music history, and be here every day for all the music news, reviews, and knowledge you'll ever need.